Good morning. We will talk about Sustainable Development Goal number 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. Sustainable Goal number 13 is about climate change crisis. Because of climate change crisis, large number of disasters are taking place. There is a need of a large number of volunteers who can come forward and start studying and monitoring our impact on the climate, and they start ranking different countries on the basis of their impact on climate. I'm sure it will help, because policymakers also need certain information, data, which can be collected by NGOs. If you are from science background, you can establish a laboratory, or you can take help of a government laboratory, collect some data, monitor and start giving information about them, so that people are aware what is the impact of our action on the climate. If we will not take timely action, there will be many natural disasters which will create problems for us and for next generations. So we have to take actions for climate. This is very important. Sustainable goal on number 14 is about life below water. The sea, the quality of water in sea is deteriorating because of pollution, because a lot of ships are moving and they are over exploiting the water, the marine resources, overfishery. This is the term that we are using, overfisheries, because the marine resources are over exploited. So what has been done is that each country has been given exclusive economic zone, and it is the responsibility of every country to safeguard the marine resources in its exclusive economic zone. This will help us in protecting our marine zone. Marine zone is 200 nautical miles from the coastal line. So every country has to safeguard and protect its own marine zone. Every country should have policies. They should monitor fishing, they should monitor exploitation of the marine resources, and they should try to ensure that there is no pollution, there is no over-exploitation in the sea which is located near its coastal area. Come to Sustainable Development Goal number 15. This goal is about life over land. Now we know that for our survival, it is very important that we preserve and protect the forests, the mountains, the freshwater lakes, because all these can play a very important role in ensuring our ecosystem. So there is a need to have a system to monitor them, to protect them, to preserve them. We need voluntary organizations who can come forward to monitor forests, wildlife, mountains, ecosystems, and regularly suggest what should be done to safeguard these. Because protecting our wildlife, protecting our protecting the mountains, protecting the freshwater lakes, protecting our biodiversity is essential for our own survival. Let's talk about Sustainable Goal number 16. Sustainable Goal number 16 is about democratic institutions. It is the duty of every country to develop, protect and promote democratic institutions. And voluntary organizations, social entrepreneurs should come forward to protect democratic institutions. There is a need of laws like right to information in every country. How did right to information came? It came through agitation by some voluntary organizations in India. So this You can search about it on Google and you can find out. This is one example of social entrepreneurship. So people can come forward and start raising voice to protect, promote, develop democratic institutions, and also to ensure greater and greater participation of women in these democratic institutions. So if we can have 50% participation of women in all the democratic institutions, that will be the ideal goal to be achieved. If democratic values are protected and promoted, it will help every country to develop a better system. And sustainable goal number 17 is about collaborations, is about joint efforts by every government together. There is a fund, green fund, which is there to help governments to come up with innovations, to share those innovations with across the world, so that we can take, each country can take timely measures for protection of its ecosystem, for promoting a healthy strategy, climate friendly strategy, green technology, because these are all adaptation strategies. We have to adopt them. Developed countries cannot help us. We have to create our own strategies. Every country has its own strategy. Every country has its own type of industry, and they should try to protect, promote. For example, India predominantly has micro entrepreneurship, which we call as kutir udyog. So India need to develop a strategy to protect, promote, develop these micro entrepreneurs and help them so that they are able to adapt themselves to the requirements of the changing world. This requires important role by educated people. The educated people can play a very proactive role, very positive role, but it is very unfortunate that educated people are playing negative role. If you don't understand what I am saying, I give you one example to clarify my point. You search on the research papers written by most of the Indian authors, especially in the field of social sciences. And what do you find? The research papers would mention that India is not giving voice to the minorities, India is not allowing minorities to flourish, India is not giving rights, equal rights to minorities. Similarly, a lot of articles are, research papers are written by research scholars that there is gender violence in India. They get these types of papers published in international journals. Now, first of all, there is half truth in these. Because if you look into the facts, India is giving full freedom to minorities, it is giving equal rights, and in time, sometimes it is giving better rights to minorities. I am myself from minority, and therefore I understand the support that the government gives to minorities is more than it is giving to general people. But in order to get published, the research scholars from India are writing these kinds of research papers and getting them published in international journals. In this way, they are creating a bad image of our country. Similarly, research scholars are continuously writing about gender-based disparities in India, which is half truth. The fact is that, of course, women have different type of clothes in comparison to men in rural areas, but that doesn't mean there is discrimination. The discrimination is not there. There is specialization. Women undertake some other work, men undertake some other work. There is sector specialization. When it is some work related to home, women are dominant, they take their decisions. When it is a decision regarding the society, men come forward and they say, we will undertake this decision. But that doesn't mean that the life of women is very bad. But it is the way in which most of the research scholars are writing, that the life of women in India is very, very despicable. They get themselves published in an international journal. When the government asks them to give some positive suggestions, what should be done, they have no suggestions for the governments. They don't come forward. When the government asks these educated people to give some concrete plans, they don't come forward for that. So their education is taking them towards negativism. So you should be careful. We don't have to move towards negativism. We have to use constructive methods to advance our opinion. We can give suggestions to the government. We can encourage others to come forward. So through voluntary actions, we can help the society.